Closing off our Asian American Pacific Islander segment is a multi-talented producer, artist, and musician, Kymistry. Please help me welcome Kymistry. Hi, Kymistry. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You've been quite busy this year. I know you released a couple of singles for a soundtrack, and I want to know a little bit more about this because this is really all new to me. I've never heard something like this done. So can you tell us about the book Simulation and how you became a part of the project?
Yeah, so Chris Jones reached out to me. He's the author of the book Simulation, and it's about, these AI like basically taking over the world, right? And it has a protagonist that's kind of like trying to overthrow this technology and everything. So yeah, Chris basically reached out to me. I hadn't heard of like an idea of a book soundtrack, and like the minute he told me like, hey, like I have this book, I want to make a soundtrack, I want to make a full experience, I was like, that's so cool. Like, yeah, that seems like something I'd be interested in. The cool thing about Chris is like, when he approached me, he was like, I just really want this to be your sound. And that was, also another thing that was great working with Chris. So
yeah, so you had all this freedom for creativity.
Yeah.
Did you know Chris before that, or how did he know of you, or how did he get in contact with you?
So no, I didn't know Chris before. So I wasn't writing music for a while, and then I wanted to create a system where like, let me just get back into music, let me slowly get into there and create, some type of accountability where I would have to like write music. And so I started doing commissions. And so he found me online, like my profile where I was selling songwriting and everything, and he reached out to me there.
Let's talk about, I love the songs, by the way. It's so smooth, it's groovy.
Thanks.
I mean, I don't know, it just makes me feel so good
and
awesome. Powerful. It's very empowering. And I want to talk about Kontrabida first, because how you came up with that, and you put your own flair into it as always.
I suggest you bow down before me, the gifts and obedience.
Yeah, so that was the second song that Chris reached out to me. The first one I was actually speaking from the protagonist side. And for this song, he reached out to me. The first thing he said, I need something that's R&B but lit. That was like his words. And he told me about the concept. He wants it to be about a villain, and the villain was basically a character that's like a tech giant, and she kind of got over her head, and it was a woman. So just in brainstorming, I thought about like, what does a villain mean to me? And like, the word Kontrabida basically came up. And then I was thinking about like, what does that word mean? Where does it come from? And yeah, I think it's interesting, like writing from that perspective, because I don't typically write from the villain perspective. So it's like, yeah. I
think that's what drew me to it, because I normally don't either. But when I heard it, I was like, this makes me feel good.
That's funny. Yeah.
It makes me feel good and bad and powerful.
I mean, that was kind of the point. Yeah. Like, I think I wanted it to be alluring. I wanted it to be almost like the seductive kind of thing, and I think sometimes like evil and bad can be in a way like seductive and powerful in this kind of, interesting way. So
now you talked about that being the second song. So the first one, was it What's Left?
Yes. So the first one was What's Left, and that's from the hero's perspective. And so when he reached out to me, that story was very much like, this is part of the story where this hero is feeling like they're going to be defeated. And at the last minute, like basically hope happens. And so really that song is just pretty much the epitome of like, when you listen to the verses, everything is about some, basically defeat. And then the chorus is like, no, actually, I'm good. I'm real good. And like, that's, the hook. So yeah.
Do you like doing soundtracks for books, maybe for movies soon?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really fun, way to approach songs. Like I've, thinking about like these characters and like, finding that character within yourself, I think is a really fun approach. And it's, inspired me a lot in my writing process. So
I feel like it's almost like acting, because with your writing, you're writing from, your own experiences with your other tracks. And this one, you have to put yourself in the person's character and what they would, feel and go through. So that's a big change. Now, I know you just released your single, Without You. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so a lot of the singles that I have released are that I am going to release are like collaborations. So it's like different sides of me. This one was actually a collaboration with Mark Blair. So it was different in that like I'm basically co-writing with somebody. So he wrote actually all of the lyrics and I created the melody to it. And then I had Justice Channel. She features on the track. So yeah, that's basically it to me. The feeling of it is just like, when it's like almost like this ghost of somebody is still present, right? They're not with you, but it's like almost like, they're still there.
I thought I heard you call my name, but it can't be true 'cause I'm all alone.
Yeah. Is that available for purchase to listen?
Yeah.
Where can we go?
Available. So Without You and Kontrabida are both available on all streaming platforms right now. So Spotify, and you can purchase it on Apple Music, iTunes. Yeah.
I mentioned in my intro earlier that you're you're multi-talented, and I wanted to talk about, because aside from, writing your music and doing your music, you also do graphics, you're editing. I mean, didn't you do the music videos for Kontrabida as well?
What's left? So the What's Left video, I did an animation. So it's funny because I've worked a lot in different content, so I do know like graphics, I do know video, which really comes in handy like as a musician and like coming up with an experience for songs. So yeah.
I hear you taught yourself. I mean, like self-taught. Is that what you did during the pandemic?
Actually, I learned animation before, so I actually animated that like before the pandemic. Yeah, and then I edited it together after with like the footage that I created. But yeah, like I've always taught myself. I actually thought I was going to be a visual artist, like when I was younger. Like I was constantly drawing. I taught myself like how to do like my sister taught me how to create like flip books and things like with animation, and eventually it turned into me learning how to do like animation on the computer. And just like, I was just playing around, and like really that's how with all the art forms that I've touched, I guess, like I've just kind of, it's been more playful, in my learning
No boundaries for you. It's like, I'm going to write a song and then I'm going to finish it, produce it. Now I'm going to do my own music video. You're like, I don't need anyone.
I mean, I love there's still a collaboration. So I definitely have my hands in things, but that animation was still like collaborated with a couple people. The songs also, I definitely collaborated with some people. Like Chris was like, definitely, helped me like as far as creatively, and then Mark Blair with Without You. So I still like love collaboration, but yeah, that's true. I do like to.
But that's very inspiring for other, younger girls that are, or actually anybody that's trying to get into the business. It's like, get your hands on as much education as you can, to do what you can, so that you're not relying on other people. I mean, I think it's great that, you can work as a team.
True. That's true. Yeah. No, that's a good point, especially as a musician or even artist. I think in this time of social media, I think like there's opportunity to like really create experiences and like be empowered to like reach people. And you know, I think there's a lot of ways that people can, like, things are so much more accessible now as far as like creating content, right? So I think it's, yeah, empowering in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Can we go back? Because I know that you mentioned you took some time off of music. Can you share what made you decide to do that?
Yeah, so I think I took, you know, when I was doing music before, like years ago, I was trying a lot of different things, and I think it's just like a lack of, you know, being grounded. I think before I was very much like the artist of like, you know, I did things by inspiration, but I didn't have necessarily the tools like of a grounded like artist where it's like what are the tools that I can have like if I'm not inspired, like what are the tools, like even if it's practices, right, that help me to finish songs or like to get past creative blocks or to like even have like a game plan, right, to know like where I'm going. I feel like a lot of like how I was feeling before was very like abstract, right, like what is like how do I do music, how do I like share music, and now it's like everything feels, I feel so, like my feet are on the ground like now, whereas like before I didn't really feel like that. And then I think because of that, like creatively I just ended up getting blocked, and I was like I need to get, you know, like kind of space myself from like music. And then yeah, only just last year, since the beginning of the year, like that's really when I started writing music, and so that was a kind of a long break, you know. Yeah. And
Was it
so
easy for you to get back in it? Like, oh, this is like riding a bike, or was it, oh, I don't know, was it there a little bit of hesitation?
oh, completely like hesitation. I think it's like I look at it as layers, right? Like if you have like these layers of like blocks that like I had built over time, or even like identity, like right, because if you stop doing a behavior for a while, like you stop identifying with some of those things that that behavior tells you you are, right? And so I think that they're just different like layers that got pulled back. Like I started writing with a friend in January, and then like I had like layer, like, you know, it's different layers of fear, different layers of just different, like just comfort levels, different things that got pulled back. And I would say like, you know, they're still being pulled back now, but yeah, I think it's interesting, like writing again, like it's like how that's changed my identity. Like I feel like I identify as an artist again, and that's been empowering in a different way. Like I feel like, you know, my music teaches me like the like, oh, I have things to say, or like this is what I have to say. Like it's like, oh wow, like, you know, I learn more about myself and then about how I want to show up for the world. So
Wow, you're just so beautifully said. This is why you're a writer. I was like, the way you just explained the different layers, I'm like, that's me. I took a break too. I took, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years. I just needed to take a break. I felt I needed to be more grounded. So I can totally relate to your story. Yeah, and like now it's a whole different view, but I don't know. I totally relate to what you're saying, and you haven't
that's awesome.
stopped since January.
Oh yeah, I'm still going. So yeah, it's funny. So like last year I was just writing. Like when I started doing commissions, that the first time I put my profile up, I wrote 30 songs in that 1 month. Yeah.
In one,
So I wrote
okay, so one song a day.
pretty much. Like, yeah, every night I would just like write a song, record it, or, you know, sometimes it's just like singing. So sometimes I just sing for somebody on their record or something. And then, so that was last year. And so like over this year, like my goal is like, you know, just create content, release songs. I have like about 7 or maybe like 6 songs that I have like that I want to release this year. And so like, you know, you saw the first 3, 2 are on YouTube, and then 2 are like just available on all streaming platforms. But yeah, I think it's like, again, it's like layers, right? It's like like last year is like pulling the layers back of like just being an artist. And then now it's like, okay, this year, it's like the year of like pulling back the layer of like revealing myself. Like I haven't performed in years, you know, I think that's like another layer that like I am kind of like hesitant of, because I've been saying like, oh, I need to do a live, like an Instagram live or like a Facebook live. And I think, yeah, it's just interesting to see like the layers as they pull back and like how that makes me feel. And also like who I meet along the way. Like I think that's also interesting too.
Yeah, I
Like,
love that you're sharing all of that on your Instagram too, like the process of writing a song or what
mm,
you're going through. I really do hope you come out with an EP soon.
oh, thanks. Yeah, maybe
Hopefully
one day.
by mid-year. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I'm trying to do singles this year and kind of just, see how people respond. But yeah, I think like again, it's like I'm kind of taking it step by step. Like it's just taking back I'm not trying to get too deep into the onion yet, but I think, hopefully an EP, hopefully tours and like shows, but we'll, like I'm again like just taking it step by step. So
Well, I love it. Take your time, keep producing, keep doing what you're great at. You're making all of us so proud. For more info on
thanks.
you and all your music, where can we go?
Yeah, for more information on me, you can go to kymistrymusic.com or visit me on my social media. Instagram is at kymistryvibes.